speaker for this afternoon. I'm going to introduce you to John. It's my pleasure to introduce John. I met him earlier. He helps entrepreneurs and leadership teams simplify and clarify and achieve their ideal future. In his talk today, he'll introduce Traction. In fact, he's got his book up here. I was just looking at it. A proven method for helping companies achieve breakthrough growth and real results. Prior to becoming Chief Traction Implementer, John was the Chief Operating Officer and an equity partner in a $200 million marketing services firm in Chicago. Using Traction, his company increased net income by 35% of their first year full implementation of Traction. His success with the system and his passion for helping others inspired him to share what he's learned with teams interested in achieving similar results as he's doing with us today. In our efforts to add value to our conference participants, we are now pleased to have John with us. So please welcome Mr. John McMahon. John.
Thank you, John, for reading what I wrote exactly the way I wrote it. I appreciate that. Before I get started, would just like to acknowledge, hopefully everyone in the room will agree with me, that there's a lot of people that have gone into making this week for you and for us today here as speakers and presenters. So I'd like to acknowledge Joya, Donovan in the back, Sarah for helping us yesterday. So as we all know, this kind of stuff doesn't happen without that hard work. So a couple things before I get started. I have a confession to make. I've been given feedback over the years that sometimes when I get up on these talks and to stage in front of people, I get really intense and really focused, and people think that I'm not having any fun or that I'm a mean guy because I don't smile enough. So I have a little friend here that I want to introduce you to. This is Mr. Smiley, and so I'm going to put him up here. And anytime during this talk in the next 18 minutes or so you think that I'm not having any fun, I just like you to look at him and go, yeah, he's having plenty of fun. Okay? So thank you. Okay. Raise your hand if you've ever felt in your business like you've been chasing after stuff, just like my friend here on the screen, where no matter where that stick goes, left, right, forward, backwards, we're just chasing after it, looking for a better result. We're constantly doing that. So let's be open and honest. How many people feel like that from time to time? Absolutely. Absolutely. So that makes you normal. When everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. So, speaking of priorities, thank you very much for your participation today. You could have chosen to spend your time and your money and energy in other places doing other things. The fact that you're here trying to help yourselves, trying to help your companies is a testament to your leadership ability, and I appreciate you sharing the next 20 minutes with me. So, in keeping with our animal theme, it has been said that the road to the future is paved with well-intentioned squirrels. Just like our friend the dog, we have lots of great intentions for our businesses and for our people, and we chase after them just like the squirrel, right? Every opportunity, every shiny object, we're constantly chasing after that next thing, that next result. Oftentimes, what we find in the end is we end up looking and feeling a little bit like this, right? We're just paving the road. So I tell you that because the owners and leadership teams that I work with in my business, they want more from their business. They want to stop chasing and paving that road with good intentions. They want better results. They're looking for a simple way to prioritize the most important things in their business and move the needle for their companies. They want to focus on those few things. I'm going to introduce to you a model here in a minute that is a business management system designed to help you, your team, and your company win more. It is a complete business system with simple, practical tools. Those tools are designed at their core to deliver three things that we call vision, traction, and healthy. Vision from the perspective of helping you as leaders and owners of your businesses get 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you want to get there. Traction from the perspective of helping you become more disciplined with one another and accountable in delivering that and making that vision real. And finally, healthy in terms of being cohesive and functional as leadership teams and leaders, because let's face it, oftentimes we're just not functional and cohesive. So go you as leadership team, so goes the rest of the organization until we get to the point where everyone in the business is crystal clear on where we're going and how we intend to get there, is disciplined and accountable to one another and executing, and is functional and cohesive as teams. We are winning more. Everything I'm going to show you here today is real world, practical, simple tools. There's no theory. And there's also nothing new. So if you were expecting something mind-blowing, you're in the wrong room. All this stuff has been around for a long time, but it works. And we know that it works because as of today, we have over 5,000 companies who've implemented this process and this system into their businesses. And on average, year over year, aggregated growth is 18% in those 5,000 companies. And by 2030, we will have 100,000 companies using this model and these tools. So, if I can show you in our short time here just a little bit about that model, would that be worth 20 minutes of our time? Hopefully? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to do that by sharing a story, and that story essentially is my own. As Don mentioned, I was an equity partner in a business 2.5 miles east of here on Thorndale Avenue. We were a legacy printer, like many of you have experience with. In the early 1990s, we made a transformational change to our business model. We were a first mover in the marketplace. And we grew that company from 25 million in sales with about 100 clients to over 300 million in sales with 5 clients. And then we did something that we call hitting the ceiling, and we just stopped. Everything stopped. Growth stopped. Growth went negative. Profits were hard to come by. Sometimes we lost money. We certainly were not in a position where we felt like our time and our invested capital were returning the income that we felt we deserved and should be getting. And lastly, we were trying all sorts of different things. We read tons of books, went to tons of workshops, looking for an answer, and nothing seemed to work. In our first full year of using the tools that I'm about to show you, I discovered them in 2012. And when we hit that ceiling and we got frustrated, somebody was very kind enough to offer me a copy of this book called Traction, written by Gino Wickman in 2007. I read that book and realized that this was the future. In our first full year of using the tools that I'm going to describe to you at a very high level, we did 2 really significant things. We achieved 90% of the company objectives or goals for the year. We'd never done that before. The second thing is we increased our net income in that 1 year by 35%. Net income. And as the chief operating officer, I sat back in my office and reflected on that year and what we'd accomplished, and I came to two conclusions. Conclusion number 1 is that this stuff works. And conclusion number 2 is that I really like it. So I had a decision to make. And it changed my life. And it led me to this room today. And I'm going to come back to that in a little bit. The model I'm about to show you really stems from a discovery, and it evolved from a discovery. And if you're normal, right now, as we sit here, your phones are going off, and you're ignoring them because you're paying attention to me. I'm smiling now. Those are the things that are happening in 136 fires in your business that are demanding your attention. You're normal. Every business has them. The discovery is this: those 136 things are symptoms of root issues that have not yet been solved. And that there are really only 6 key components to any business. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, what size you are, or any of that other stuff. And to the extent that we can help you strengthen those 6 key components, those 136 things that are pinging your phone right now are going to disappear and go away. So that's what I'm going to show you here at a very high level. In the end, the tools that are baked into this model are designed to help you improve your accountability, increase your levels of accountability throughout the organization, improve your communication, improve your team health, and drive results. So here's what the model looks like. 6 key components starting at the top. I'm going to take it very high level, one time through the model, then I'm going to come back and do a little bit of a deep dive on one component because that's all we have time for today. Component number 1 is the vision component. This is exactly like it sounds. The consultants haven't invented another word for this, unfortunately. Where are we going and how are we going to get there? The answer to 8 basic questions that you and your leadership team must be 100% on the same page with. Where are we going? If you want something, you have to know what that is. You can't get what you want unless you know what you want. We have to be 100% on the same page, and then we have to get everyone in our organization sharing in that vision. Component number 2 is our people component. We cannot achieve our vision without great people. Problem with this definition is that it's unique to every company, and we forget that sometimes. And so we borrow this concept of having the right people in the right seats directly from Jim Collins. Everyone read Good to Great by Jim Collins. Many of us probably have. So we borrowed this straight from him. So just in case you didn't know, normally in the real world when we take something that doesn't belong to us, we call that stealing. But since all of you are in an innovative industry, you know that when we do that in business, that's actually called innovative. Right people, right seats. You got to have the right people on the bus, wrong people off the bus, right people in the right seats. You got to have both. Component number 3 is the data component. We have to stop making decisions and taking actions based on conversations, subjectives, ego, and running around asking people what's going on around here and get ourselves focused on the data, the hard numbers, what's happening. Are the activities that are going to keep us on track to hit our monthly results happening every single week, because the data never lies. Component number 4, when the first 3 components are clear and strong, what happens is we create a more open, transparent environment, which is the whole point here. To shine a light on all these things, our challenges, our problems, our obstacles, even our big opportunities. We call those issues. Great people and great companies get that way in large part because they get really good at solving their issues. The same ones keep popping up. We just have to get good at recognizing them and getting them solved for the greater good of the business and the long term. 2 tools that we use to strengthen that. Component number 5 is the process component. Often the most overlooked component in every business, especially entrepreneurial businesses, largely because they don't see the value. What they see are ISO manuals and 10,000 pages of procedures. This is not that. This is our way of, in a very entrepreneurial way, helping you understand what it is you do at a high level, getting that documented, and then getting everyone in the organization to follow those processes. Component number 6, strengthening the 6th component, the traction component. No coincidence that it's on the bottom of the model and vision is on the top. Why is that? Rubber meets the road, maybe? Vision without traction is a hallucination. We have to be clear on what we want, and we absolutely have to execute like crazy to get it. Hence, it's on the bottom. All 6 of those must be strong. When that happens, when we work with our clients to help them use the tools inside that model, and we get strength in all 6 at the same time, you can get everything that you want. As I said, I'm going to take you into a little bit of a deep dive. I have a copy of this tool as my gift to you. It's on the table here. My assistant Stacy's in the front of the room. You can pick up a copy if you'd like it. Whether or not you think this system is good for you or you want to talk to me, that's fine. I'm happy to talk to you, but I highly encourage you to use this tool because it's a very powerful, simple way of helping you get clear on your vision. So I'm going to take you into that vision component real quick. 8 questions. Simple. Same page, 100%. What are your core values? Who are you as people? What are the handful of rules that you are going to steward and parent your organization through going forward that you are never, under any circumstances, going to be willing to ignore, including for economic gain? They define your culture and your people, and it helps you attract the right people and keep the wrong people away. Your core focus. Collins calls this your sweet spot, your hedgehog. What are you really in love with doing? And what are you really great in the world at delivering value in? Your why, or what we call your purpose or your passion, and your what, your niche markets. Some companies have multiple niche markets. The why is all about why you're here. What hole are you trying to leave in the world when you're done? And we got to get clear on that. Core focus, all of our efforts, systems, processes, and people, relentlessly driving on making sure we're chasing just those opportunities, because those opportunities can get us where we want to go. The rest of it, good intentions, shiny stuff, squirrel on the road. 10-year target. This is what Collins calls the BHAG, for those of you that haven't heard that before. Big, hairy, audacious goal. It should be bold, inspirational, and realistic enough. Quick story as a little bit of a sideline to make my point here. 2 weeks ago, I was in Detroit with all the people like myself, with the person that authored this system and has created it and put it into the world. In 2008, there were 4 people like me sitting around a table, including Gino, who wrote the book. At that time, there were 81 clients using this model. Gino stood up in front of those other 3 people and he said, guys, by 2020, there's going to be 10,000 companies running this system. 81 to 10,000. We're going to hit that number. We're at 5,000 now. By 2030, we're going to have 100,000. It works when you get clear on what you want. 10-year target. Marketing strategy is all about simplifying 2 big things. Who are we trying to talk to? Who are our ideal clients? People that love what we do and get what we do and are an order of magnitude more valuable to our business over the long term than just any client. Because let's face it, not every client is the same. And the second thing there is, what messages resonate most with them? And we have to simplify that and repeat that message over and over and over, because people have to hear things 7 times before they hear them the first time. Or if you ask Stacy over here, it's more like 37 times before I hear it the first time. It's natural, human nature, repetition. Next question, what is your 3-year picture? We paint a picture of the world. What's it going to look and feel like inside of our business 3 short years from now? We do this for 2 reasons. One, if you can see it in your mind's eye as a leadership team and be 100% on the same page, you can get there faster. You also owe it to your organization to get it out of your head. Right? You may see it very clearly, and it may come out of your mouth very clear to you, but what they interpret it is not the same. Right? We all have those internal filters. So we have to be clear on that. Second reason that we do it is when we go to the second page of the document, we're going to bring this vision down to the ground and we're going to start executing. So when we have a clear picture of what it's going to look and feel like 3 years from now, we can do a much better job of 1-year planning. And we decide, what are the 3 to 7 most important, meaningful goals that this company needs to accomplish in the next 12 months to bring that 3-year picture closer to the present? And it's 3 to 7. You see, there's 7 lines there, not 37. Again, because when everything is important, nothing is important. We have to work really hard to decide a handful of things that we need to execute. From there, we break your world down into 90-day pieces, and we get you focused on just what 3 to 7 things, again, in the next 90 days can make those goals happen. How are we going to move the ball from the 5-yard line to the 10-yard line in the next 90 days? So that when we get to the end of the year, we can raise our hand and go, that was a hell of a year. Last question, what are your issues? This is more about a discipline and a muscle that you develop and just getting comfortable calling out the stuff that's not working. Hey, Joe, IT's not working for us. We need help. We got to get comfortable, and that's hard as leaders and people because it's people and it's process. When it's not working, we ignore it. We just hope it goes away. It isn't going to go away, right? We have to get comfortable calling it out and get better at solving. So those are the 8 questions. To the extent we can get a leadership team 100% on the same page and then rowing in the same direction, we can get everything the business needs and wants. Sorry, I don't have more time to dive into the detail of the model. That's a little bit of a deep dive on the Vision Traction Organizer. Again, that tool is up in the corner if you'd like it. To summarize real quick before I let you go, most of us want to stop chasing. We want to stop having good intentions, and we want to execute and create a better future for ourselves and for our companies. If you use a system, proven system that works to simplify and clarify and achieve your vision, you can get everything from your business that you want. Personal freedom is how we define that in the end. I hope I've shown you there, at high level, there is a way to do that. If you're a business owner, or you know someone that would like to hear about this, I'm happy to talk about it all day long. This is what I love to do. I'm passionate about doing it. I've got books, a limited number, if you'd like to take one with you. but I'll be here for the balance of the afternoon. I want to thank you for spending your time, your afternoon, listening to me. Hopefully the food coma is not kicked in just yet. And I'll just close with a short story. So I alluded earlier to you that this has changed my life, and it has, big time. The reason why I'm here today is because in 2014 I had a decision to make. That decision was, what am I going to do with this knowledge? Do I share it with others and help other owners and their companies get more from their businesses, or do I keep it to myself? I think you know what decision that I made. So your next step, like mine before, is up to you. Thank you for your time.